Hello, Facebook. Good afternoon. My name is David. I am here with 4 Hour Future Florida. Looking forward to this panel we have today, talking about the American Jobs Plan, specifically the environmental policy that we'll be getting in it. So I want to go ahead and get started by introducing and starting with our panel. We're joined with Maria Reyes with Chispa, Florida. Welcome. Thanks for joining. How are you today?
Hi, David. Very excited. Happy for so many reasons to be having this call with an organization that I love for a future. We have been, partners in different moments in our life, and wonderful organizers like yourself and Bernice, who her work I've known for years, and very excited to be in this space, having such an important conversation with our communities.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. And also, of course, special shout out and thanks to Bernice for joining as well. Bernice, could you take a second? How are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so much. Super excited to be reunited with Maria on this call. So this is great. It's like a reunion for me. And yeah, I think the topic is really important. So, excited to dive deep into environmental policy today.
Well, that's really good to hear. Of course, really looking at the American Jobs Plan, what's not really explicitly mentioned in the title, the name, when we hear it, might be thinking specifically of jobs and investment and different infrastructure projects. But there's also a lot of stuff that is going to be impactful on the environment. So on top of creating jobs, on top of improving infrastructure like our roads and bridges, there is a very good and holistic approach focusing on clean energy, which we want to highlight here today and talk about what is in the American Jobs Plan that would really be good for the environment, and really talk about what kind of advocacy efforts we at For Our Future are taking to see that we do what we can to support this. So, of course, the American Jobs Plan is also a green plan with policies to implement clean energy, preserve and restore public lands, and even more, as we'll learn today. But before we get started, we do know that we have 2 elected officials here in the state of Florida. We're going to talk a lot about ways that this bill specifically impacts Florida communities. And we want to really, right at the go, encourage people to email Marco Rubio and Rick Scott and urge them to support these green energy policies, these green new jobs that can come to the state. But it does require the votes of our elected officials, and all the pressure we can put and all the grassroots effort we can put towards this is going to be really essential. So take a moment, of course, look at the comments and send out an email. And one of the reasons why is, of course, looking at the elements of the American Jobs Plan is going to be about clean energy. Really, we're looking at how the American Jobs Plan would shift tax incentives away from fossil fuels and really put it towards clean and renewable energy. This would really give state, local, tribal governments the public investments to achieve 100% carbon-free pollution by the year 2035, which is the goal outlined in the plan. And so I did want to ask Maria, with the work that Chispa does, what is some of the work you're doing with clean energy, and what does clean energy really entail in terms of what takes us towards a clean energy future?
Mm-hmm. Well, a couple of things. First of all, for those that don't know the organization, Chispa Florida is really a community organizing organization for Black and Brown communities, especially on environmental issues, clean energy issues. So this is like, the most exciting part of the whole American, jobs plan. I think something that also makes a lot of sense for us, and I think is a shift on the narrative, is when they say, well, to me, jobs, clean jobs in the jobs plan for America means renewable energy, means invest in Black and brown communities, and means climate justice. I think that's a very, very important conversation to the country that we are becoming, right? We cannot be a country that is like 50 years in the past, thinking that all jobs are going to come on from, fossil fuels and coal and all those things, because that's not the reality. That's not a sustainable reality. So as Chispa, especially, we are working right now in a very interesting campaign that is the Clean Buses for Healthy Niños, that is really thinking about, how do we 95% of the children that are riding those buses here in Florida belong to either underprivileged communities, Black and brown communities. And you say, like, half of those children have asthma issues. And those children are the ones that are missing school, that are underperforming, children that maybe to begin with needed additional days in school because of language. They're ESOL students. So clean power really means for us that we are saving our next generation and putting them in the next track. And that's one of our main campaigns, the Clean Buses for Healthy Niños campaign. And we are excited and thrilled that there is a specific funding in this American Jobs Plan that is coming for clean power, that is going to electrify the fleets of school buses in Florida.
Yeah, and I think that leads perfectly in. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Bernice, because that is one of the important aspects, is talking about the electric vehicle market and how it can update. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Bernice.
Yeah, I think that was a perfect lead into talking about electric vehicles. And reducing our carbon footprint means that we can actually move to vehicles that can be powered without fossil fuels. And so one of the great things about the American Jobs Plan is it's going to invest in the electric vehicle market. So we can actually boost domestic production and have more local production of these vehicles and incentivize consumers to make this switch. And that includes like the school boards. Hopefully they will also make the switch to more sustainable vehicles, like Maria was saying.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, the public infrastructure, like in our public transportation, is really important. But of course, obviously, there's going to be consumer tax credits for people that choose to switch to electric vehicles, which is obviously, of course, going to be really important as we, over the next couple decades, start phasing out older vehicles to really focus on ways that we can have vehicles that are going to be without a carbon footprint. I'll go ahead and continue us along another aspect.
Right. So this one is one that I'm really passionate about, which is clean and safe drinking water. So between 2012 and 2015, almost 50,000 people were potentially exposed to unsafe lead levels in drinking water. So that's a lot of folks who have been impacted by lead levels, and the impact on children is particularly worse. Thousands of children test at blood levels that are higher than what the CDC says is safe. So the amazing thing the American Jobs Plan will do, it actually will replace 100% of the lead pipes in America, ensuring that every community has access to clean drinking water and that children are not going to be affected by lead in their drinking water.
And like the issue of safe drinking water, it ties up, perfectly with what we were saying about, the needs of our children to grow up healthy. They have the right to drink clean water. They have the right to breathe, clean air. We know that children that are lead poisoned won't learn as well, don't develop as well. And also we know that our minority children, Hispanic children, Black and brown children, minorities, are disproportionately, unfairly affected by the drinking water issues. So I think that's something that is very important for organizations like Chispa.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that that's going to be a really big undertaking to replace as many lead pipes as there are in the US, and that has led to public health crises like we've seen in Flint, Michigan, and not even just there. It's in hundreds of cities across the U.S. that impacts, obviously, the health and well-being of our future generations. So that's a really important thing to highlight, and kind of really similarly related, and I think a lot of these issues are intersectional, is to talk about the sustainable living. And really with people that are renting units or have housing units that are just really out of date, don't have good insulation, even like small fixes that can just make a huge impact on the carbon footprint. Those are energy losses that do add up really quickly. And as of right now, the American Jobs Plan is set to invest money to retrofit over 2 million sustainable housing units. And is also going to seek to address the rising cost of rent through investments in affordable housing. And so as much as we talk about lowering carbon footprints, something that communities struggle with is affordable housing. And that we have a plan here that would go about fixing that is really, really important, and something to really hopefully look forward to.
I think in this case, especially for our communities, that we know that when we live in communities, in houses that are not up to date and that are not like energy efficient, you have people that already are in the poor segments of the communities end up paying more for energy that is not sustainable, energy that is not renewable, just because they cannot even afford, to make the improvement. So this funding coming to our communities, assuring that our houses will be properly isolated, that there's going to be grants in the community, and there's going to be money for even our own communities to make decisions on who's going to take those jobs, right? Which is the big tie into all of this, right? It's putting all that money in the hands of the community and also benefiting those same communities. I think that is a great step on the right direction, especially when the nation needed most, right? Coming from a pandemic year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know just from news that we constantly get is that if the eviction rate in Florida is there's no equity there. It affects brown and Black communities very disproportionately. You can look at zip code by zip code and see that the people that are unable to afford their housing are oftentimes our Black and brown neighbors, and that's really something that is an injustice that needs to be dealt with, and investments in those communities is a step in the right direction.
And definitely also, David and Bernice, something that we need to also take in consideration, like those communities, have been, for years, right? Starved, like underserved, under
Right.
taken care about, these people is paying more for electricity. End up when, as the sea level rises and is eating other communities, they are going to be displaced, right? Because now they are in coveted dry land. So the Biden administration with this specific program is really taking a lifeline for those historic communities that don't want to be moved. They don't want to be relocated. They don't want to be pushed out. They don't want to be gentrified. So I think this is really an opportunity for us to stay in our homes,
Absolutely agree with you on that, Maria. There's so much gentrification that's happening because of climate change.
Well, I wanted to take a look here. Obviously, when we're talking about climate change, obviously disasters are the form it's going to take. It's not going to be an overnight sort of sea levels are just going to suddenly go up like you're filling a tub. it's going to come in the form of weather events that are going to raise the tide and make places uninhabitable over time. And so this is anticipated to a certain extent, thankfully, that from 2010 to 2020, Florida had 22 extreme weather events costing up to $100 billion in damages. And this American Jobs Plan would improve the resiliency of our infrastructure, support communities' recovery from disaster, and of course, as a result, save money. It's an investment. So it'll provide a bipartisan tax credit to provide incentives to low and middle income families and to small businesses as well to invest in disaster resilience. So I did want to ask, what are some of the ways that disaster resilience would really help when something like a hurricane, which everyone in Florida is familiar with? What are ways that helps mitigate the damage?
I think a lot of that is at a local level. Is something is where organizations like For Our Future, members, community, grassroots organizations, we need to make those community plans and decide and tell our elected officials how does all of that is going to look like. Because this disaster relief, the way that is designed, is going to impact and help the communities that Bernice and I were just talking about, right? This is to low and medium impact community. This can come in terms of grants. This could come in terms of FEMA money. This could come in terms of, local money that is going to be used to rebuild, to fix, small businesses and families. Private homes, it can come, in many different ways. So this is why it's very important that we have these conversations with elected officials, like the ones that you will have in your petition, like Rubio and others, about, okay, so this money is coming, and this is how we want to see it invested specifically in this community.
Definitely. I know a lot of these funds come and they're in the hands of our local, like state and local governments. And that accountability there really can't be understated. I think one of the last things we want to cover here is equity and justice as well.
Yeah, and this is my favorite piece about the American Jobs Plan, is that it really plans to invest in and support historically disadvantaged communities. So this is also like a racial justice plan as well when we think about it. And the new green jobs that come from the American Jobs Plan, they want to prioritize hiring folks from communities of color, especially women. I just wanted to ask to Maria, what kind of impact do you think that this can have on our brown and Black communities?
I agree with you. I think this is one of my favorite parts also. I think that when you are thinking these green new jobs that are the jobs that are going to stay with us for the future, for the next 50 years, for the next 100 years, hopefully for the rest of 500 years, right, are coming to be trained Black and brown communities, women, the people that has been impacted the most from the pandemic, the people that were working 2 and 3 jobs in a hospitality industry and has been, laid off, and also the people that comes from a manufacturing industry that is dying, like a seamstress, all of that has been displaced, for the last 20 years, that is not even in America anymore. And this is coming to Black and brown communities. That means a lot for people like you and me. That means a lot for the future of unions. That means a lot, for example, Puerto Rico. Like Puerto Rico is a great example of a whole community island that is going to be directly, affected by this, because, in theory, right, it all depends, again, going back to how do we lobby with our local elected officials. In theory, the whole island will be protected under this language of communities, right? Central Florida, like, Florida, which is like you have all whole zip codes that are 100% black and brown, 90%, maybe 100% is an exaggeration, but you understand, like 90%, 79%. You have them in Hillsborough. I have them in Central Florida. So definitely this means that jobs are coming to our people. Jobs are coming to women. Jobs are good paying jobs. Our youth that is rising right now, it's going to be educated in this, local green technology jobs that are going to be good paying jobs. That's the most exciting piece of all of this, to be honest with you.
100% agree. For me, this is the most exciting piece of it. And so I can't wait to see everything that the American Jobs Plan does for us. I'm super, super excited about it.
Yeah, well, definitely want to say that if covering a lot of this stuff has kind of really revealed a lot of what's at stake with this proposal, and the importance of getting this or very similar aspects of it into policy, and the importance of getting it passed, and the importance of seeing it become a reality, is something that we want to highlight. We do want to really, call home that we have to start with the people that are in Florida that do represent us, and so once again, our call to action here, talking about the impact that this would have on the environment, and really creating green new jobs, but green new jobs with equity, is imperative that we have public pressure and show public support. And organize around these and many other issues. And so you can see here the chance to send Marco Rubio and Rick Scott just that message. So with all of that, did want to say, of course, thank you so much for joining us, Bernice and Maria as well. There's a lot of ways people can stay engaged with both For Our Future and Chispa Florida. What are some projects that y'all are working on that people can stay engaged in?
I think people should definitely follow us in our social media, in Instagram, in Facebook, and even on our website. They should also click in our campaign, our Clean Buses for Healthy Niños, to see how if there's not a Chispa community in your a Chispa committee in your community, let us know so we can start working and making sure that that funding to renew your buses, it's going to come to your community, and basically stay up to date into what we're seeing. These are exciting moments. The American Jobs Plan is really the intersectional blueprint that we need at this moment to build back better. When we strategically protect people and the planet, we're going to achieve great things. So please follow us in all our social media and the campaigns that we're putting together, because I think there is just like this wonderful collaboration that we're doing right now between environmental, community, labor. I think that's what the future should look like.
Awesome. Well, definitely thanks for joining. And I know there's a lot of ways to stay involved here with For Our Future as well. Both Bernice and I, we have a statewide campaign program really geared towards drawing attention to the American Jobs Plan, and recognizing the ways that we can continue to advocate even at a grassroots level. So we do that on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays with our phone banking efforts. And then, of course, if you actually live in the Tampa area, I know Bernice is the go-to person. Are there anything coming up in your region that is good to highlight?
I would say we definitely love to have you join us on our phone banks on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They're a lot of fun. If you guys are phone banking and you're not having a good time, you're not doing it with the wrong people. I mean, the right people. So definitely come and join us. We have a really good time and get to talk to people about the amazing work the American Jobs Plan will do. So please stay connected with us. We also canvass in the community to meet people at the doors and talk to them about it. So please join our Facebook group, and we'll definitely have more information on there.
And if you're in the Orlando area or just the Central Florida area, we are looking forward to getting some organizations and activists together. We really want to gather around Marco Rubio's office next Friday and really draw attention to what has actually happened in the course of his 23 years as a public official. And we think that's going to be something to do. The 28th is his birthday, so maybe we can bring him either a spine or a heart, or gift him something to say that we need a lot more out of Marco Rubio and his record in the state. So one thing coming up, we'll send out information and hope to see people there. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining, and we'll look forward to staying engaged. Everyone have a good rest of your Friday afternoon.